Hi, I'm Coach Mark. Money can be a tough subject to talk about. It's one of the top subjects that couples fight about and can lead to bitterness and pain. If you're someone who's lived most of your life feeling like you never had enough money, you can probably identify with the sentiment that if you only had more money, your life would be better. Now, I've thought the same way for a long time in my life, but I changed my point of view after talking to a CEO of a local company. He said that as long as he has enough to care for his family, he would always be willing and happy to give things away as he was able. Over a couple of years, I witnessed this firsthand. When I asked him how he gave things away so easily, he shrugged and said, "It's not what matters. I don't need it, and you can't take it with you when you die." This man wasn't even a Christian, but he was speaking truth that can be found in Scripture. 1 Timothy 6, verses 6 through 10 says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It is through this craving that some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many pangs." This CEO had learned that even though he had money to spend on all sorts of pleasures of life, what really mattered was things that money couldn't buy. He was also the first person to point out to me that ever since he started giving away his wealth to those who needed it, he tended to have fewer problems crop up in his life. Now, if you're like me, you initially think, well, of course the person who has a lot of money says it's better to have less of it. But the Bible actually agrees with that statement and warns us that it can plunge people into ruin and destruction. I want to challenge you with something today that will help with your contentment. In your home, find something of value that you really don't make good use of, and find somebody who would. Then, give it to them. It sure sounds simple, but it can be very hard to give up something of value to someone else when you aren't getting anything in return. But stick to it, and you might find it to be very freeing. I've made a point to do this several times in my life, and it has been nothing but a blessing to me. No matter where you're at in life, you can complete this challenge at least once. You can do it. Now go, win today.